Dear friend, welcome in our weekly daoland healthcare class. Every week I give this class. Normally I do this on Facebook, but Facebook Live seems to have disappeared. So now at this moment we are here on Instagram, and we will probably extend soon to other channels too. That is at least the idea. And in every week on the Wednesday I offer anyway, together later on with students from the program and certificate holders of our daoland healthcare program. We are providing a service, a class, a free service for you to follow for your healthcare needs. These are practices so that you can help yourself to take care of yourself. That's mostly qigong, sometimes tien, sometimes it's daoland, sometimes it's meditation, sometimes it's just advice. And every Friday we have a Q&A so that you can tune in for that, ask your questions in the comments, and then there's also at the same time a Zoom going on for members of the daoland healthcare program, so that they also can ask their questions directly. So you'll be a viewer of that Zoom actually, but you can also add your comments on the bottom so that we can also take them into account in our discussions and explain all kinds of things and how it would work for you. And if you have questions about Tai Chi Chuan, about qigong, yoga, Wudang culture, Taoism, anything that's related to is Tantrism even, because it's also related to it, to Chinese medicine, to Taoist medicine, to massage, to acupuncture, to your diseases, you can ask the questions there, and they are all going to be part of what we are doing. I have been doing this since basically we started having these problems with COVID, and we will keep on doing this for well, as long as it is required. That means as long as humanity exists and the daoland healthcare program exists. And today we are going to work on something very simple, namely an aspect of gastritis, actually stomach ulcers. In my clinic I frequently have people coming in like, can you help me with my stomach ulcers? And there's particular kind of things you can do about it. And we're going to work a little bit on exercises today. My first advice would always be, okay, sign up for the program. And it is not to advertise my program, but on the Monday mornings, that's Central European time 9:30, I give a bamboo formula qigong class, and that practice actually is very good for calming your stomach and your intestines. And in the beginning stage, people, when they have this problem, they will really feel like it's really working on it, and after some time it will dissipate and it will become more gentle and more soft. And that is the whole point, right? Because it is a overheating of your stomach and your intestines, caused originally by gastritis, and this gastritis has gotten out of hand, causing swelling of your stomach, causing irritations in your stomach, and cause vomiting, belching, all kind of stuff. And after eating, it can give you pain in your stomach, and there's very little that seems to help. It is a very annoying kind of problem, so it is very important to deal with it. Very often it is aggravated by worrying, by thinking, by overthinking too much. And of course our Taoist program, our Wudang Taoist program, is focused primarily on all kinds of aspects about improving the quality of your life. So calming your mind and your feelings and so on is an important part of that. But at the moment when you have a specific problem such as a stomach ulcer, you need a little bit more, because it radiates outward and it gives you really like this sour feeling, and you would not be the first person to have it. It is estimated that about 10% of the population has this kind of problems, to lesser or larger degrees, and you can take all kinds of medications, but they only soften the problem. They don't really resolve the problem, because the problem of course is in your mind to a large degree. So an important part of this practice is to help you to calm your mind. And you can do several things. And we'll start first with the easy ones, but you have to do that a few times a day. I put the camera in another position so that you can see it. And at the moment, oh, I'm falling over my own shoes, you see that? That is really stupid. At the moment, when you are having this kind of problem, what is important for you is at the moment when you sit up straight. Oh, by the way, I got just somebody reminded me that I forgot to introduce myself in case you don't know me. I'm Yoli O, that's my Chinese, my Taoist name. My Dutch name is René Gors, as you see from my account. I have been teaching Chinese medicine and Chinese medicine practices like qigong, tai chi and so on for over 35 years. And I have been living for 13 years within a Taoist community in China, and I have been studying with people in Shenzhen, Shan, in Chengdu, in Beijing, in Shanghai, in Wuhan, of course, also where I lived also some time. I've been working at the Chinese Medicine University, and I have a reasonably wide background in what kind of practices there are around. So from this experience, I actually also do these sessions, and they last usually about half hour. So just that you know that you are going to be locked into this screen for about half hour if you're interested in this. You can look at my Facebook page, which you can follow through my account. You look me up on my Dutch name, and you can find me on Facebook, and you'll find many videos with all kind of health issues we can talk about. Anyway, if you have questions, always ask them below or contact me. It is not a problem. I am pleased to answer all your questions. But at the moment when we are practicing, let's just take a simple seat. We just take a simple meditation seat, and try to avoid anything underneath you when you do meditation for gastritis or for anything else, because the challenge of actually trying to calm down in a rough environment, this is all what it is about. It's the same as with yoga. Yoga is not meant to comfort you, but yoga is meant to make it hard on you so that you are challenged to become calm. And this is also what we are going to do right here. So at the moment when you're sitting here, you are resting, make sure you keep your spinal column long. And one and most important thing in Wudang Kung Fu that you have to learn, and that is also important for all health practices in general, and it is usually forgotten by most people because they are too underschooled, so to say, in these kind of things, is that you have to make sure that the base of your skull is being lifted. And at the moment that the base of the skull is being lifted, and at that moment the vertebrae below your neck, they're hanging downward. And at the same time you do the same at the vertebra behind the heart, and you lift up that vertebra so that the vertebrae below there hang, and you do the same between the kidneys so that the vertebrae there hang. This has to do with two different important aspects. There's more, but these are the main ones, because at that moment you open up the spinal column, you let that spinal column hang, so you don't hang yourself on your spinal column like you would hang your coat on the coat hanger, but you hang your body on your muscles. You use your muscles actually to create space in your spinal column so that the vertebral fluids and the nervous system and the channels like the Dumai and the branches of the Dumai and the bladder channel, they all are maximized in their functionality. That means that also the internal organs are being maximized in their functionality. They all have their inner space, and as a result of that they have the opportunity to function best as they should function. Anytime when you are sitting like this, or when your body is too tight because you do too many strength exercises, you actually reduce the space for your internal organs, and therewith also increase the chance for stress, which you see, because when you make a lot of strength effort, you actually create stress. You see that with a lot of Kung Fu people also, they are too much into the hard part of it, and as a result of that, they are aggravating internal stresses that they have, maybe from their childhood or whatever kind of reasons they have. And as a result of that, they get addicted to the dopamine rush of their practice, and that is, of course, any form of addiction is, of course, counterproductive. Doesn't matter if it is antidepressants or sports, it is not good. At the moment, when you're sitting like this, and you're just sitting like this in these three gates, you also open up the channels which are crossing through your body, which are allowing you to what is called activating and warming up the tiens. And the tiens, they are being activated and made functional over a period of about 20 years. So it is not something that is immediately happening, but the point is, according to Taoist medicine, to kill the three worms. And these are aspects of your emotional life which causes you to self-destruct. And I don't know if you have that kind of tendencies, but if you have tendencies to self-destruct, there's basically, for Taoist, as far as Taoist medicine is concerned and Chinese medicine is concerned, there's a physiological reason for it, namely your body posture, and you can also resolve that to a large degree through your body posture. Of course, also mental control and emotional control of your behavior and your feelings is a very important part, but that goes too far now to take that part. But in the sitting like this, when you're sitting in your meditation, you sit up straight, you feel how your weight is sinking on the floor. Try to pay attention to the outer form of your body so that you become aware of how you're actually sitting, where your different body parts are. Hold part of your attention in the Dantien. The Dantien is in the vertical axis between the crown and the Pai Hui point, which is lifted upward at the moment when you lift up the base of the skull. You see that modern Taoists, they have the hair thing 1 point more forward, but actually there's when you normally see people with their head, you see there's a small, slightly sloping, flattening part of the head, and the middle of that is called the Pai Hui, and at the moment when you lift up the skull on the back side, then that one becomes like a flat top. So you become like a tabletop mountain, so to say. And this tabletop mountain, at the moment when it is coming across, there is the place where the bones are coming together, and there's a vertical line going from there, and it has to go all the way to your perineum or perineum, depending which country you speak English. And at the moment when you have that in this vertical axis, about 3-4 fingers, depending on how nervous you are, you find the Dantien. And the Dantien basically means the egg field. And there's a lot to say about that, but we should leave that for a Q&A or something. But at the moment when it's called Dantien or egg field, this is where in a Dan practice you make your inner medicine. And people very often confuse it with your center of gravity. That is not, because your center of gravity depends on your body form. So if you have a big belly, your center of gravity is somewhere else, your Dantien is somewhere else also. Your Dantien is always in the same place. Your center of gravity is always on a different place depending on your body form. So these things are not related. The Dantien is also not a chakra. Chakra is a way of thinking that was invented by Joseph Leadbeater, a theosophist, and has nothing to do with anything Taoist. Although you see, because of the influence of Western esoterics, that a lot of Chinese, but also Westerners, of course, they integrated with each other and they equated to each other. And that is called universalism, and universalism makes you nervous. So that will give you eventually stomach ulcers. So you shouldn't do that. At the moment when you sit straight, you hold your attention in the Dantien, you can keep your hands on your knees, and at the moment when you sit like that, you calm your breathing. So you go breathe very slowly and not very hard. At the moment when you do deep breathing, like, and you fill yourself up, you create heat inside yourself, which will aggravate your ulcer. So don't do that. What you want to do is you want to cool your body down. You want to cool your stomach down. You don't want to freeze it. So if you put an ice cream in it, you freeze it and then you stagnate the qi in your stomach. And that is why I always advise against eating ice cream, even if it's very hot, because you run a certain kind of risk in there. Because if it is very cold, qi doesn't work. There's no qi where there's coldness. This is what is basically a core idea of Chinese medicine and Taoist medicine. In the winter, the qi is retreating into itself. And at that moment, everything is semi-dead, so to say, and it will come back to life in the spring. So the winter is not a time for qi, but the summer and the spring is the time of the qi, and the autumn is the time of harvesting the qi. So at this moment, the summer just started, and in the winter in the southern hemisphere, high class, this is one of my students in Australia, and at the moment when we are sitting like this, we feel like, because of the slow breathing, the soft breathing, we still fill up our body, but we do not blow up our body. We just keep our body calm so that the air only comes into the level where your body is not expanding too much. It's just staying calm on the inside. So at the moment when you sit like that, you breathe like that, you feel like that, and you can think to yourself as a mantra. You say, I calm. I calm. If you do very good, right, you will feel that at the moment when you say I calm, and you say I on the in-breath and calm on the out-breath, and then at that moment you will feel that your body weight sinks down more deep and more calm. So it's not in the meaning of the word, it's actually in the sound. The meaning just helps you to give direction to the sound. That is what is very important. If you do this soft inside yourself, you will feel I calm. It works a little bit hypnotic, so that you gradually become more calm to yourself. And this is what you would like to achieve. At the moment when you are like that, you also pass your stomach with that. And what you can do also when you do it outward, you do it on the in-breath and the out-breath. And at the moment when you do it on the in-breath, you go like, calm, right? Like this. And then you feel that with the in-breath, the chi of the body wants to go up. That's the yang and the fire. And then at the moment when you say calm, it sinks downward. And at that moment, you actually are dredging your body from the heat, and you force the heat to go down. Not by pushing the heat down, but by calming, right? So let's try to do this for a while. And calm. At the moment when you breathe in, you talk backwards, right? You remember maybe from the 90s, I think, or beginning of the 21st century, Jack Black had his band where he was doing reverse singing. This is basically it, right? So at the moment when you breathe in, you bring the I sound, you bring up, and it goes actually towards the pai hui. And at the moment when you breathe out, it goes down. So at the moment when you come up, you hold it there for a moment, just briefly, and then breathe out. The klang generally works calming. Yeah? You know from Tibetan mantra singing, Om Om. All these sounds, they have a different kind of purpose. For this you have to practice sound qigong, and I'm planning a sort of a workshop on that online, so you can sign up for that if you want. I have to still plan the dates and stuff like this, but I think it will be fun. At the moment, when you do like this for a while, and you do this every day for about 10 minutes in a row, in the morning and in the evening, before you go to sleep, then at that moment you will create a sort of generally calming feeling in yourself. So that generally calming feeling inside yourself in the beginning will be very frustrating if you're not used to meditation. That is also why we do the sound thing in there, because it helps you to keep your mind busy. And then we have to go to the second part. And for the second part, I'm actually looking for a tool that I forgot to take before. So I will find something quickly. Yep. Improvisation is the hallmark of a good Taoist. So there's no such thing as a fixed forming things. And at the moment when you are going to do the next part, you're actually going to lie down. And I'm going to be, of course, partly outside of the camera for this. But I put something higher underneath the base of my skull, so my head is actually hanging. I try to make it as high as possible. And in China, in the past, also in Japan and Korea, people were sleeping like this, and you could do that same thing, but you have to have something that is hard enough that it actually really works. Can I still in the image? Yeah, I just disappeared behind the text, so I can't really see it. So at the moment when you're sitting like this, you are at the moment stretching a little bit. You put your hands on the tien, or you put your hands next to your body, and you do the same. When I do that, because I'm generally quite calm on the inside because of all these years doing these kind of exercises, I almost immediately start feeling like I'm going to another kind of reality, like dream state almost. So you want to make sure you stay awake enough to be able to feel that feeling, but that is also the reason why you do these things before sleeping, because when you do that you can easily drift off into your sleep, and you can get to calm that much that you fall asleep, so that the next day your stomach is much better, and then in the morning when you wake up you actually repeat it, and then after that you do your meditation. So you do that in reverse, so they are mirroring each other. at that moment, so that means they become like a set part of your day, and during the day when you feel upset you can always go back to that. You will see that after a few weeks the annoyance of your stomach after eating should become less, because in general your body will find more peace and is able to restore itself. You can do the same thing on the side, and then you are lying on your back and you have the little finger you have on the side of your temples, and the index, I'll do that more close to the camera, the index finger and the middle finger around your ears, and the thumb on the base of the skull. You can see this. So you're lying down on your palm like this, and at the moment when you're lying down, your hand is around your knee, your toes, they are split, and they are around the Achilles heel on the right foot, the left foot on the right foot, and then you lie down like this. It is important that you're lying down on your right side, because the exit of the stomach is on the right side. So as a result of that, you calm your stomach like that. At the moment when the infection, the ulcers are more in the duodenum, you put on the other side. But then at that moment, the heat of the heart might actually push on your heart, which can make you feel uncomfortable too. Because very often people, when they have ulcers, they also feel like burning in the heart. That is the reversal of the heat from the stomach going towards the heart, and that making people emotionally upset. So that is also not really very nice. So at the moment when you're lying down like this, and the right side usually is the best side, then you can do the same. At the moment when you do like that, you will feel that you take a little bit more control over the force of the fire, and then you will become more strong. And then you get what is typically called mind over matter. You bring the fire down and you calm it so that it is being gradually quenched. And then we go from here to the next part, where we will do some physical exercises. And this is actually where you would be very helpful to do the bamboo formula qigong, as I said before, but it takes too much time to do in this setting, so we will not do that today. And oh, by the way, Matt, I saw you lying down, don't have much time to wave. And at the moment when you are doing exercise like this, it's very easy. You bring out your arms, you squeeze a little bit with your fists, and you bring down in a relaxed way, not too much force. Bring your elbows up, your fists underneath your armpits, and stretch up. Relax. And make your back long, and roll up. You can watch this video back later on, because we are getting slowly through the time, but we do one more time, and you have to repeat this like 10 times or something like this, 20 times, 50 times, depending on how much time you actually have available. And at that moment, when you've done that a few times, what you do is you create space for the lower back, but also space for the stomach at the moment when you come up. So even though when you're hanging forward it feels uncomfortable, might even make you nauseous, but it is in fact helping you to relax the stomach over time. So that is a very important aspect of exercise that you can do. Also, what is very important is when you are standing with your hands on your hips, you feel like you're calming down also immediately when you do that, because you put your head on your hands on your hips, and the weight of your shoulder actually pushes on your hips. And from here you can move your head downward, breathe out, and lift up, look upward, and breathe out, just hang. Breathe in, look upward, and breathe out, calm down. I just do this one very briefly because we're really running out of time at this moment, so that is not nice. And at the moment when we go one step further, actually we first put our hands here on the spinal column. We can do that with the back of the hands, like this, or like this, doesn't really matter that much. But at the moment when we do that, we first rub up and down. So first do this with the back side of the hand and rub up and down about 50 times, so that you go all the way from your stomach to your kidneys, but then the force of the rubbing is going down. And you also make sure you rub your kidneys and at the same time with your hands, but then you'll feel that you rub mostly a little bit more down towards your hip bone, because you know it's harder to give the base of the skull, the palm, all the way to go up. So that is good. And then at that moment, when you hold your back, you do the same with your head. Breathe in, look up, breathe out, breathe in, so at the moment when you do this like that, a couple of times, say 40, 50 times, 30 times, then at that moment, because of the stretch of the neck, because holding your hands on the kidneys, also with the hands flat on the kidneys, at that moment you create a particular kind of stretch which actually helps you to calm your stomach and your duodenum, so that actually things might improve over time. It will take you time before you get to that point where it actually becomes very efficient. You have to understand that also when you practice things like Tai Chi Chuan, when you practice qigong in general, these kind of things, they will help you also over time. But in the practices in itself, there is no attention for the individual problem. So it will take much more time to resolve these kind of issues. Of course, it depends also on how you practice it. Like if you practice Tai Chi Chuan for martial purposes, then at that moment, because of the way how you make the moves, you might have a hard time to calm your stomach. So you have to make sure that at the moment when you do these kind of things, you have to make sure you make your moves in a slow way, right? So that you stay calm. If you don't stay calm, if you do not work on these kind of things in a diligent way, if you do not do it systematic, you will always be guided by your feelings, and as a result that you will always get back to your ulcer. And a wasted ulcer that is staying there for a long time can cause you all kind of problems lower in your intestinal tract, in your defecation. But the worst thing is that the ulcer eventually can turn into a tumor or a cancer. So it is very important to do something about it. And your heart and your mind, they have to be calmed in such a way that your blood starts flowing more harmoniously inside your body. So I hope this movie is interesting to you, and if Facebook Live indeed is finished, we will keep on coming back on Instagram for this, and on other channels I will see how to work on that, because this was something that surprised me this morning. I just did a Q&A last Friday, everything was fine. There were no announcements on Facebook, so that is how it goes with authoritarian organizations. This is part of Facebook, of course, so maybe you want to drive all the live things towards Instagram. Doesn't really matter to me, it's a free service, it's for you, and I hope you enjoy it. At the moment, when you have any benefit for it, don't hesitate, give it a like, share. If you would like to support us in this project, you can always become a member of the Patreon that is actually organizing these kind of things. That is the patreon.com/daoland_healthcare, and you can of course donate for a small amount or a big amount. You can participate in all kind of classes, you can ask questions anytime. Anyway, you can do that also here on Instagram, or you can do it on Facebook, or you can even do it on my YouTube movies. I look forward to see you next time. That is coming Friday. No, coming Friday not, because there is a qigong retreat workshop at that moment for the students of the daoland healthcare program, because last Friday there was a thunderstorm, and in thunderstorms you don't practice anything qigong, certainly not as serious as qigong, which is not for the woozies among us. I look forward to see you very soon, and also Matt, nice to have seen you here also. We always do this on Facebook, and I also see that I have to close because my battery is almost finished. Thank you very much, and I see you next week. Is that a deal? How do I put this off again? I have to go out, right? Yeah. There must be an off switch here somewhere. new things. Alright, there must be an off switch. Maybe I first have to say something. Dear friends, welcome to the weekly daoland healthcare class session. This week we discuss stomach ulcers. Oh, there's a spelling mistake there. Stomach ulcers. This week we discuss stomach ulcers. Okay, post. Yes, I think it should be there. And now how do I put it off?